welcome back to Faith Walks with Tandy. Guys, I've been getting like a lot of backlash with people saying that I should be grateful. My parents brought me to where I am. I shouldn't be talking badly about my parents and my childhood. I am not talking badly about my parents and my childhood. I'm giving you guys, telling you guys of an experience that I had growing up, okay? And if it comes across as ungrateful, I'm very sorry about that. But my parents were very, very strict. Like they were the two most strictest people that came together and made like there was no softer one of the two. Like it was two incredibly strict people that came together and had kids. Like what? Like a double whammy. And my mom and I's relationship has really come a long way, like a long way. From that time when she was telling me that I could have just asked for a gun and this suicide thing would have been quicker, to now where I can talk to her about my struggle with depression, and I can talk to her if I'm going through stuff that hurt me and stuff like that. We've come a long way, and our parenting styles are different but similar. Now she's softened up, guys. Now she doesn't even pinch my son's ears when he doesn't listen. Like she's like completely different. I don't know she's completely different to what I grew up with, completely. So I want you guys to know that I had a really good childhood. Like I had a superb childhood. We moved into the suburbs about 20 years ago. It's 2000, 20 years ago. I moved into our house when I was 8, and now I'm almost 28. So 2000, so it's almost 20 years that we've been living in the suburbs, and we were one of the few kids on the street that had a pool. So trust, we was having pool parties when my parents weren't around. With the neighborhood kids, we had a good education. All the kids went to good schools. Hence, English, right? And I had big dreams growing up, and my parents used to encourage that and motivate that. My mom was all about education, nothing else. Like funda. And for her, that's what got her out of poverty, is like really studying and becoming something. And my dad's support, that worked her out of poverty. So she didn't want us to go through the same thing. I understand how hard she was, because it's so easy for a teenager to fall off and just be on the wrong side of life, and then have to deal with the consequences of my child being a drug addict, and have to deal with the consequences of like teenage pregnancies and things like that. So I understand why she was so hard on us. Maybe her approach was what hurt me. But today we talk about it. Today we can, laugh about it and say, hey, now whatever. You know what I mean? You did this to yourself, this whole thing. My parents loved me, guys. They loved me. That's why they took me to therapy. I don't think any parent that actually wanted their child to die would have paid for therapists. Therapy is not easy. Child psychologists are not cheap. They are not cheap. And even then, when after everything was said and done, and I said, listen, the only way that I can actually function is if I move away from home. And they put me in a boarding school of my choice. And I started to flourish, man, because I was away from home. Guys, I'll say this, and I haven't gotten permission from my mom to talk about it, but my house, there was a lot of domestic violence. So I saw a lot of things that I shouldn't have seen growing up. And it hurt me, because as I've said, that I'm not a very expressive person. At least if I was one of those kids that could say, Mommy, I don't like it when Daddy does this. Me, I was just that kid that just kept on doing their own thing and acting as if nothing was bothering me. And between the domestic violence and then being molested at ages 5 to about 7 by my cousins, that also contributed to my my going crazy as a teenager. So I'm very sorry if it seems like I'm ungrateful. I'm very grateful. My mom and I's relationship is awesome right now. She stays with my son full time because I'm here in the hustle, and I, to be quite honest, can't afford to have my son in the city. The city is very expensive compared to back home. I mean, even the school fees, like my son is in a prep school that's equivalent to some of the prep schools in the city, and I am paying half the price. Like, it's crazy. Like, here you could pay 5,000 for crash, and back home I'm paying half of that, even less than half. It's crazy here. So I honestly can't afford to have him up here, and I don't have help. Like, when I'm at work or when I'm out busy, I don't have anybody to look after him when he's at home. So at home I can afford to get a helper who helps my mom, plus he can go to a good school, you see. And it's affordable. It's weird, it's so affordable. Anyway, that's not the point of the video. But yeah, the point is that my mother and I are really close right now, and we've come a long way to where we were. Her parenting styles, and plus my experiences and stuff, some of the stuff that I never really got to speak about growing up, that's what hurt me, and that was the triggers of my depression and anxiety. Like, I was a scared child. I was scared of her. I was scared of my dad. I was scared of everybody. And then when I was rebelling and acting out, it was like, what? This person is the most quiet human being, always minding her business. I was like the little mouse of the family. And now all of a sudden she's like, loud and crazy, and what is going on with her? So it was just a cry of help. It's like, okay, now I'm changing, and I don't know how to deal with my change. I don't know how to deal with my emotions. I don't know how to, to deal. And then I became very unhappy with myself because I was like disappointing everybody around me, my parents, my school teachers, everybody who actually ever had an opinion in my life. I felt like I was disappointing them, and the only way out was death. And that was what was going on in my teen years, you know what I mean? And it's got, my parents were very big influences of that because they were so strict. I couldn't speak to them, and I was scared to talk to them, to be quite honest. And I know that a lot of Black families have the same thing, where your parents are super, super, super strict, and you can't be like having an open conversation with your mom and say, hey mom. I mean, to the point where when I did start my period, and maybe that's why I went crazy, because I started my period when I was 15. Anyway, so when I started my period, I was so scared to tell my mom that I started my period. I felt like I did something wrong, and she would think that I was having sex or something. And I didn't tell her. I used tissue paper until my helper found out that this was happening. Obviously, I was disposing of all of this wrong, and she could see stains. And she asked me, what's going on? And I told her, and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. You're a woman. Why? She was so proud. Like, does your mom know why you're using tissue? And all of that. And I'm like, I can't. I'm so scared to tell her. And she was actually the one who told my mom. And my mom was shocked. She was like, how? Since when? But I told her, I was like, I'm scared of you, bro. Like, I'm super, super scared of you. Like, you're not an approachable person. And at this age, like, I am still a bit scared and nervous about talking about a lot of things with my mom. And but I want you guys to know that I had a good childhood. Like, I had a good childhood. Like, I had a good education. I had my parents put us in a very nice house. The day they lowballed me, like, you guys are gonna come to my house. I want to take it to my house. But you've seen, I've recorded a video or two in my house. But I'll give you a tour next time. How about that? Okay, so I had a really, really nice childhood. I don't think there is anything wrong I said in the previous video, and it wasn't in a way of disrespecting them. I was just showing you how strict they were, and telling you how strict they were, and how hard they were, and how difficult it was for me to deal with their strictness. Okay. And coming from people who actually care about me. They think, oh, Tandy, you just went in with your mom. Like, no, my mom and I are good. Like, today we spend an hour on the phone talking about stuff. Hey, we even we even spend time on the phone talking about what we're both watching. Like, my mom and I are good right now. She still has glimpses of who she was. Like, every now and again she'll be like, eh? And I'm like, hey, come back. But she's really, it's we have come a long way, and it is God, and it is God's blessing. I remember praying for her salvation, praying that she'd be born again. And I can tell you now, the minute that my mom got born again to the woman that she is now, it's like a 180 turn. Like, it's two different people. My mom before Jesus and after Jesus, guys, two different people. And I'm super grateful for salvation. So I did not have a bad childhood, okay? I don't consider myself as an abused child. No, I had a really good childhood. I just had really strict parents, and I dealt with a lot at a young age. Domestic violence, 1. Molestation, 2. And I did not know how to speak out about it. So that's why I needed therapy. And that's why when it came to dealing with stuff, I did not know how to deal with stuff. And sometimes I still don't know how to deal with a lot of stuff. Like, Jesus, give me the strength. I don't know what to do here. And God helps me, and he helped me then, and he's kept me till this very place. I hope that gives some clarity, guys. I wasn't going in, I wasn't throwing shade at my mama. I love my mama, guys. I don't know what I'd be without her right now. Like, she is such a good mom to my son, and a good mom and dad to my son, because my dad is late. So she's both, and she's a mom and dad to me and my sister. So she's literally everything to me right now. And she was very strict. She knows that. She acknowledges that. She used to trap us. She didn't give us hidings for white people. We got trapped as kids. And I know a lot of black people also went through the same. So listen, chill. I love my parents, and I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't my mom. My mom made me tough. She made me tough as nails. Like, a handful of people can say I have been privy to see Tandy crying. Like, maybe 2 or 3 at most will say I have seen Tandy crying about a situation that she's going through. I do not do that, guys. I am as tough as nails. Like, I remember a friend of mine saying back when I was working for my boss, my previous employer, and she used to say, yo, this guy abuses you, are so strong. He's preparing you for something. He's not preparing me for anything. He was preparing me to share to all of you about depression and all of that, and how you can overcome it. Guys, depression can be overcome. You can win this battle. And your life is precious, and really, it's not over until God says so. So with love from me, see you later, alligator.